On the Roundup today, Stonnington backs court action on activity centres, a new role for a former LGV chief, St Kilda Beach renamed as Socceroos fever builds, new meeting rules for New South Wales councils, a council ban lifted on a local radio station, claims by Cairns Mayor refuted by a state government department, AI solutions roll out in Mackay, structural reforms a step closer in Tasmania, and the $100,000 bill for conduct complaints in Hobart. This is the Local Government News Roundup for Monday the 29th of June 2026. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Welcome back for more news from and about councils across Australia and beyond. Brought to you by the VLGA, the national broadcaster on all things local government, Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. Great to have you listening wherever you are in Australia or around the world. The City of Stonnington has backed Bayside City Council's Supreme Court action over the Victorian Government's Activity Centres program. Stonnington Mayor Melina Sear criticised the lack of community consultation, noting 15 of the 60 designated zones fall within her municipality. The council says it will monitor the legal proceedings before deciding on its own separate application. The state government's move last week to take control of 4 precinct structure plans in the Geelong region has drawn sharp criticism from both the opposition and the council itself. Acting Mayor Councillor Eddie Contell told the Geelong Advertiser he first learned of the announcement through a government media release, with no prior consultation. As reported on the Roundup on Friday, the council says delays in the PSP process were largely outside its control, pointing to 7 months without a state government response to a request for support lodged in November last year. The opposition has labelled the move cynical, highlighting the recent unconsulted sale of growth zone residential land for data centres. Former Executive Director of Local Government Victoria, Mike Gooey, has been appointed as the inaugural Chief Executive Officer of Safe Food Victoria. The newly consolidated food safety regulator was established under recent legislation to streamline regulatory systems and reduce red tape for businesses. Mr Gooey, who spent 5 years leading Local Government Victoria, will officially commence his new role this week, coinciding with the agency's first day of operations on 1 July. The city of Port Phillip has temporarily renamed St Kilda Beach to Patrick Beach to celebrate the Socceroos qualifying for the World Cup knockout stages. Partnering with the Melbourne City Football Club, the council is honouring goalkeeper Patrick Beach with the foreshore renaming, green and gold illumination of the town hall last Friday night, and a planned community mural. Mayor Alex Macon says it's a uniquely local way of getting behind the Socceroos and sharing in the excitement of the World Cup at home. Illegal dumping is on the rise in Golden Plains Shire, with the council recording 28 incidents in May, up from 16 at the same time last year. Mayor Owen Sharkey told the Golden Plains Times that clean-up costs directly impact ratepayers, noting a single site in Piggereet recently cost over $5,000 to clear. Moira Shire Council has endorsed its post-event recovery action plan, establishing a long-term framework for community and economic restoration following January's Yarrawhir Muckatar fire. With funding from state and Commonwealth agencies, the plan prioritises structured council-led recovery and infrastructure repair. The National General Assembly has officially adopted a motion from Moyne Shire Council calling on the federal government to establish a dedicated funding program for council-owned swimming pools. With data showing 80% of public pools face end of life within the decade, the council argues the maintenance burden is no longer sustainable for rural and regional local governments alone. And Ararat Rural City Council has been named Recycle Care Australia's 2025 Textile Recovery Leader after diverting nearly 12 tonnes of post-consumer textiles from landfill since May. The council says the program has seen strong community use of free clothing drop-off hubs at the Ararat Resource Recovery Centre, and more drop-off locations and promotion are planned for the coming year. New South Wales councils will operate under fresh meeting rules as a new regulation takes effect. The government has prepared new meetings regulations after the disallowance of last year's model meeting code by the Legislative Council in May. The new regulation mandates live streaming of all council and committee meetings, restricts pre-meeting contact between councillors and staff on agenda items, and strengthens chairpersons' powers to expel disorderly councillors, including from successive meetings if the conduct is not remedied. Councils do not need to amend their existing meeting codes. The new provisions apply automatically once the regulations are published to the New South Wales legislation website. Hawkesbury City Council will lift its ban on Hawkesbury radio from this week after the station engaged in what council describes as productive discussions and took steps to address the conduct that triggered the original exclusion. However, the ban on the Hawkesbury Gazette remains in place. The council says it's satisfied with Hawkesbury Radio's response to the actions of individual staff members and with measures taken to prevent a recurrence. Central Coast Council is expected to adopt a revised flag and street banner policy at its ordinary meeting tonight, resolving a multi-year dispute over Australia Day displays. Local groups have raised concerns for some time about the policy, which meant Australian flags were not flown on council streets around January 26 each year. The update clearly distinguishes between official flagpoles and promotional banner infrastructure to simplify compliance with national protocols, according to the Central Coast Express advocate. Sydney's Bayside Council will escalate community safety concerns to the South Sydney Police Area Command following increased reports of antisocial behaviour at Mascot Central. Following a decision at last Wednesday's council meeting, officers will also investigate requesting local property developers provide a dedicated security presence to act as a deterrent. The City of Ryde has introduced a new managed shared e-bike service across Macquarie Park, Gladesville and Meadowbank. Partnering with Lime, the initiative aligns with the Council's integrated transport strategy to reduce vehicle congestion and support its net zero goals. To address community concerns, the framework features geo-fenced no-ride zones and mandatory parking areas. In news from the regions, the Country Mayors Association of New South Wales has criticised the latest state budget over a distinct lack of regional water infrastructure funding. CMA Chairman Rick Furman highlighted a $1 billion infrastructure shortfall for regional utilities, contrasting it with over $5 billion allocated to metropolitan Sydney. Berrigan Shire has cautiously welcomed the Murray-Darling Basin Authority's What We Heard report, noting it represents a positive step forward. Mayor Julia Cornwell-McKean praised the explicit acknowledgement of river heights on local tourism, but stressed that the Commonwealth must deliver real action rather than platitudes. Dungog Shire Council is entering the final stages of its major organisational restructure, with new leadership aiming to drive the region forward. Mayor Digby Raywood announced that Stage 3 of the Council's internal review is well underway. Interviews for a new Chief Financial Officer have also concluded, with an official announcement expected shortly. Dubbo Regional Council will commission a comprehensive resource benchmarking report as a result of last week's council meeting. The study will compare workforce allocations, work sites and community facilities against peer councils, tracking staffing levels from amalgamation to the present day to identify operational efficiencies. And Bathurst Regional Council is set to seek a $750,000 loan to upgrade its Peel Street Works Depot, according to the Western Advocate. The project will allow the relocation of council staff from the historic Howick Street Post Office building, freeing up the space there to generate an estimated $250,000 in annual rental revenue. A breakdown in council procedures has sparked controversy in far north Queensland. According to a report from the Cairns Post, Queensland's Department of Local Government, Water and Volunteers has refuted claims made by Cairns Mayor Amy Eden regarding advice given in a recent ordinary meeting. The dispute arose after Mayor Eden shut down questions from fellow councillors regarding a misconduct finding against her, citing departmental advice. However, a spokesperson for the department said no such advice was provided to block councillor questions. Under standard local government model meeting procedures, councillors retain the right to question peers, though the chairperson holds the discretion to disallow questions in certain circumstances. Mackay Regional Council is introducing 3 artificial intelligence initiatives in its upcoming budget to combat rising operational costs. The measures include a new after-hours digital assistant called Luna, alongside administrative automation in development planning and corporate services. The strategy aims to mitigate significant external funding shortfalls and is projected to deliver $80,000 in initial annual savings while maintaining service delivery. And Outback Queensland's Quilpie Shire Council has taken out top honours at the National Awards for Local Government, being named the 2026 Outstanding Rural and Remote Council. The accolade recognises Quilpie's Q1000 Regional Growth Initiative, a strategic blueprint successfully tackling population decline through targeted housing grants and childcare expansion. To Tasmania, and major changes for the local government sector are a step closer following the passage of the Targeted Reform Bill through the state's upper house last week. The legislation will cut 50 councillor positions across the state ahead of the October elections. Under the new model, Tasmania's 5 largest urban councils will be capped at 9 elected members, while other municipalities will be reduced to 7. Minister Kerry Vincent says the reforms are the most substantial since 1993. And according to Pulse Tasmania, the lower house will review the upper house amendments when Parliament resumes in August. Official figures reveal that code of conduct complaints at Hobart City Council have cost ratepayers more than $116,000 over the past 4 years. Data published by the Mercury shows a spike of 19 internal complaints since November 2022, representing a 38% increase in costs compared to the previous council term. The figures emerge amidst ongoing calls from the Local Government Association of Tasmania for greater structural reform and dispute mediation across the sector. We're going to Western Australia now, where the Shire of Coolgardie has announced that Councillor Corey Matthews has resigned effective immediately for personal reasons. Shire President Paul Wilcox thanked Matthews for his service since being elected in 2023 and asked that his privacy be respected. A process under the Local Government Act to fill the vacancy will now commence. The City of Mandurah is reviewing the application of its current memorial policy following community pushback. The council initially denied a family's request to reinstate 2 beachside plaques after a recent storm damaged the original benches, according to ABC News. The council's chief executive, Casey Majavilovic, says a final decision is on hold pending a consultation meeting with the family. The Shire of Peppermint Grove has unanimously approved a 3.8% rate increase for its upcoming budget, a move that ends nearly a decade of below-inflation hikes and will fund a $2.7 million capital works program. Mossman Park Council is considering the creation of a Housing Innovation Advisory Group to help guide its infill policies and address state-mandated density targets. The West Australian reported the voluntary panel of industry experts will support the town's draft 2026 local planning strategy amid concerns over state overrides around transit precincts. Meanwhile, the council is also reviewing a proposed 5.9% rate increase in its draft budget this week. And the West Australian reports that Cottesloe and Mossman Park are reviewing their planning frameworks to introduce new policies regulating the removal of significant trees on private land. The move follows a growing trend across WA local governments using Walga's model template to mandate development approvals for tree-damaging activities. And from the NT, the City of Darwin has welcomed Clarence McCarthy-Grogan as the newly elected member for Chan Ward. The disability advocate and former Australian representative wheelchair basketball player fills the vacancy following a recent by-election. Ahead of his formal induction on Tuesday, Lord Mayor Peter Stiles said that McCarthy-Grogan's leadership and commitment to inclusion will bring valuable perspective to the council. This is the Local Government News Roundup, your Monday edition, brought to you by the VLGA with support from Symphony 3 and Rath Engineering Development. As we wrap up this edition with news from overseas, let's go to New Zealand firstly, where Wellington City Council has adopted its annual plan locking in a 5.9% rate increase, its lowest in 6 years. Mayor Andrew Little says the budget delivers over $31 million in savings while protecting core community services. The council is also opening public consultation on a proposed shift from a capital value to a land value rating system. Hawke's Bay Regional Council has awarded a new 9-year contract to Transit Group to deliver an all-electric urban bus fleet for the Napier and Hastings public transport network. Scheduled to begin in August 2027, the agreement marks a major transition towards zero-emission public transport for the region. In the UK, Suffolk County Council will vote on launching a judicial review against the government's council reorganisation plans. A letter seen by the BBC shows ministers rejected civil service advice for a single unitary authority, choosing instead to split the county into 3. Council leadership opposes the split, while critics question the £500,000 legal risk. Cumberland Council Chief Executive Andrew Seekings has announced he'll step down at the end of December, confirming his retirement at a staffing committee meeting. Mr Seekings cited personal and health reasons for his decision after leading the unitary authority since its formation. The recruitment process for a new chief executive is underway, according to the News and Star. Canada's Regina City Council has rejected a proposal to mandate a full-time return to the office for hybrid municipal employees. The motion aimed to boost downtown revitalisation but was defeated in an 8-3 vote. Council cited workplace flexibility, employee productivity and office space savings as key factors in retaining the hybrid model, according to a report from CTV News. In Oklahoma in the US, Tulsa City Council is demanding clarity from its mayor over a surprise executive restructure. Councillors claim they were not informed of a decision to shift the Public Safety Commissioner to a civil service position, raising the role's maximum salary cap. Mayor Munro Nichols has defended the move, citing long-term administrative stability, according to KJRH local news. A Louisiana council has voted to introduce a charter amendment reducing the mayor's veto power. If approved by voters, the threshold to override a mayoral veto at Monroe City Council will drop from a 2/3 majority to a simple majority. The Wachita Citizen reported the decision follows ongoing disputes over administrative authority and infrastructure development. And finally to South Korea. Seoul City has initiated a resident-led audit into former Seongdong District Mayor Chon Wong-oh following a joint petition concerning a 2023 overseas study tour. According to the Chosun Daily, the probe focuses on travel approval and document management irregularities involving an accompanying official. The municipal audit is scheduled to conclude within 60 days. And that's your Monday edition of the Local Government News Roundup. This edition, number 606, recorded on the morning of Monday, the 29th of June, 2026. If you have comments or feedback, you can email us, chris@lgnewsroundup.com, and head to the website, lgnewsroundup.com, for more details about this episode, including story links. Our podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, Symphony 3 simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. Our podcast is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening and bye for now. Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS, helping councils manage gravel pits and projects, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works, saving your council time and money. For local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience, talk to the team at Rath Engineering Development. Head to rathed.com.au to find out more.